Hello everyone and welcome to my first video of the decade. Today I am making the first of three parts of a cardboard building. The structure I'm going for is largely inspired by the old Warhammer artwork. Today we'll be making the ground floor, which I want to texture to look like stone. In upcoming videos I will be adding an overhanging half timber upper floor and a roof in the style of this other building. To build the ground floor, I cut out 4 panels, 2.5 inches wide. 2 of the panels are 8 centimeters long, and the remaining 2 are 7.8 centimeters long. This is because my cardboard is 1 millimeter thick. This way, when I put it together, I should have an 8x8 square, as long as I remember to glue the long sides to the edge of the short sides. It should be clear when we get to the assembly stage. I also cut out a 7.8 centimeter square. This will be glued into the top of the structure to make it more solid, and also gives me somewhere to attach the upper floor more securely. I also cut out a template to shape the door for this piece, and a slightly larger one for the border around the door. To texture the panels, I just drew stonework on with a pen, making sure to leave a good deep impression. The idea here is that we're drawing with pressure, not with ink, so press down. This is similar to the technique I used in a previous video to make cobblestone bases on foam board, and the reason I'm switching to cardboard here is simply that I cannot find foam board with easily peelable paper. If you know any specific brands that are easily available in Southern Europe, please do drop me a comment below. That said, cardboard works fine if you don't need open structures, and it's cheap and doesn't need any special tools to work with, so it's a great medium to practice with. While I was drawing the stones, I tried to keep a roughly similar size, but an irregular pattern, to make it look like it was hastily put together, damaged and repaired a few times. Once I textured all the pieces, I cut out the door and the basement window, and cut out a frame for both of them, which I glued to the outside of the panel. Next, I textured a piece of card to look like wood, and cut out some strips to make the door. I glued these to another scrap of card, and glued this on the inside of the panel. I didn't quite manage to get it square, but that's okay, it just adds to the general wonkiness of the build. Once the door was in place, I decorated it with some more strips. For the basement window, I just glued a scrap of card on the inside and then added 3 strips of card outside to represent the bars. To glue the pieces together, I put some painter's tape on the edge of the panels and lined them up, making sure that the edges of the short pieces were touching the faces of the long pieces. Then I applied PVA glue to the corners, added a little reinforcement and put some pressure on them as they dried to make sure they stay at right angles. Before applying the tape, I stuck it to my clothes and pulled it off a few times to make it less tacky, so it wouldn't tear up the card. To cover the joints at the corners, I cut out some strips of card and scored them along the middle, then bend them to a right angle. This is kind of tricky, so I think it might have been easier to leave the pieces slightly wider, bend them and then cut off the excess. In any case, I glued these pieces over the corners. Finally, I glued in the ceiling piece. In this case, I didn't bother to remove the tape. With that done, I sprayed the piece black, both outside and inside. To paint it up, I dry brushed it with several layers of Payne's grey and white, and painted some stones in different colors. Then I gave it a quick wash with watered down black ink and dry brushed some more with a mix of black and ivory. This cardboard has a nice texture that picks it up really well. Then I painted the door and some other details. The door was still missing a handle, so I took a small metal ring and super glued a thin strip of paper to it. I wrapped the paper around it a few times, then locked it in place with super glue before trimming off the excess. I painted this black and glued it onto the door, before touching it up with some more paint. And that's the ground floor of our old hammer building. I hope you found this video useful and that you will join me for the next video when we get cracking on the upper floor. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you have any ideas or suggestions about improving this build, please drop me a comment below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.